Brady Durr here with Mortgage Medic USA on another episode of Notes on Deck, where we talk about notes on my deck. So recently I had a conversation with a potential investor who was a surgeon, and I'd reached out to him through LinkedIn, and he reached back and responded with his phone number. So I called him. I was like, I'm Brady. We connected through LinkedIn, and I invest in distressed debt backed by real estate. And he said, okay. Well, I've got an appointment coming up, so I've got a little bit of time to talk now. So I was like, great. If you ever need to go, just let me know. And so, I explained to him what we're trying to do. We're the banks or various entities get rid of debt that they no longer want, and because it no longer meets their portfolio requirements. And we have the opportunity to buy them at a discount and work to rehab the borrower, rehab the paper, not the property, and make some profit. And his first question was, "This isn't multi-level marketing, is it?" And I had to assure him, no, multi-level marketing is much easier than this. They already give you a business, and you just execute the business. No, this Mortgage Medic USA has to be created from scratch. Buying notes has to be a process you have to create from scratch. So I was like, no, what you're actually doing is you're entering in a joint venture agreement between your LLC and my LLC. And together, we're going to you're going to procure an asset, and we're going to rehabilitate it. And next question was, well, will this take a lot of time? I don't have a lot of time. And I can appreciate that. He's a surgeon. He gets paid to be in the hospital fixing people for a living. So I can appreciate that. And I told him, well, that's my role in this joint venture, is I'm the one who's connecting with the vendors, connecting the dots on the deal, keeping up with the timelines, making sure we're in compliance with CFPB and Dodd and RESPA and all of the steps and phases of the procure, find, fund, and flip. So, and he seemed to be happy with that. And he asked me how long I've been doing it. I told him about a year, and I went into it a little bit more in depth because I knew this wasn't a highly intelligent person, and so I had no problems going into some of the foreclosure processes and the variance of the laws and rules in each state, and how even if I'm unsure of a specific deal, I'll show it to my other peers in the note industry, and get insight from them. And so I told him I'm not in this alone either. I've got lots of fellow note investors that would happily throw a second eye onto something to make sure I wasn't missing anything. So he liked that concept, and we dropped the call. His call dropped, and I thought, okay, well, maybe he'll call me back. Maybe he's got to go to his next appointment. And he did. He called me back, and we again had a really great conversation, and I thoroughly enjoyed sharing this industry with this gentleman. And then I believe my call dropped, or we dropped calls again. And I thought I'd taken up way too much of his time, so I texted him. I said, I really had a great conversation with you. Call when you have time. And he texted me back, and he's like, please call me. So it was just the highlight of my day, talking to someone who was interested in this process and wants to be a part of it. And I was sharing him a story about a deal in Mississippi. And it was a manufactured home, but I told him some of the research I'd done on this family is, they're paying almost $1,000 a month in BK13. And I told him I looked at all their bills, and I looked at the bankruptcy, and it was mostly school debt. And I found him on Facebook, and I'm like, this is a couple with 2 young boys, and they vacation and they fish, and and you know, they must have just something bad happened, but they are steadily paying on their mobile home each and every month, and oftentimes paying more than the minimum required. You know, and so even though it was a mobile home, it was a rural area, I thought that this asset would be a really great asset to invest in, because it's already performing. And so then he was asking me about, well, you know, how long is this, our terms? How long we enter this deal? It's like, well, we could do this 18 to 24 months. The ideal is typically we would, you would fund the deal, and we would work it out for 18 to 24 months, maybe even 12 or shorter, depends on the state. And at the end of the deal, you'll get your half. I take my half. I do all the work and the labor. And I said, hey, and it might get to a point where you might want to stay in this agreement. You might not want to exit. We might, if we foreclose, you might. And I asked him, I said, because we're in this together, you might decide you would like to let it go to the foreclosure and get the capital out. We might think together it's a better idea to rehab the property and sell it as a turnkey rental to an investor, or do seller financing. I said, I'm open to what you want to do. I'm kind of here to work for you. And I think he really liked that idea, that he's really in control, because it is his money, but yet he doesn't have to stay on top and keep a track of everything. He has someone guiding the ship for him. So I don't know necessarily how all note investors handle conversations with potential investors, but I would much rather have someone who was not always looking to foreclose off the get-go, because my goal isn't necessarily to kill people's emotional equity. You know, that might be just go with the territory. You know, half the time you will, half the time you won't. I'd prefer less, but facts are facts and stats are stats. So anyway, I just wanted to share with you on this episode of Notes on Deck my conversation with a potential investor, and the value that I have to bring to the table to them to convince them that there's someone that they can trust. He did mention that he wanted me to meet his wife, and I said, that's awesome. I would love to meet your wife, and I'd love for you to meet my wife. And I told him, matter of fact, I don't hide where I live. You can go to my website, and you can find my address. My address is easy to find. It's on Google. I don't hide it. So I told him, hey, stop by. It's fine, because I don't have anything to hide. So I hope you also feel like you have kind of an open door policy with your investors and potential investors, and aren't trying to hide necessarily behind anything, other than using an LLC to separate you from your business, because you are not your business and your business is not you. I am simply a manager for Mortgage Medic USA. Thank you, and have a good evening.